Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 13 in Be With Me in the book of Hebrews, chapter 4 today, title, Strive to Rest. Rest is exhausting. All right, so there's going to be two tricky parts today. One is the timing of rest, and the second is the activity and the actions and the efforts of rest. So what is God's rest? It's the dependent posture of the soul, being held in the achievements of an accomplished God. This rest is achieved by the striving to listen, to know, to obey, to believe, and have faith, along with the characters of history, that is Israel, the characters of today, the church, and the characters of a future kingdom, that is heaven. So rest, God's rest is available and open for business. Listen with me. This is Hebrews chapter 4, verses 1 through 11. Therefore, while the promise of entering his rest still stands, let us fear lest any of you should seem to have failed to reach it. For good news came to us, just as to them. But the message they heard did not benefit them because they were not united by faith with those who listened. For we have believed, enter that rest, as he said. This is from Psalm 95. As I swore in my wrath, they shall not enter my rest. Although his works were finished from the foundation of the world, for he has somewhere spoken of the seventh day in this way. And God rested on the seventh day from all his works. That's from Genesis 2. And again in this passage, he said, they shall not enter my rest. Since therefore it remains for some to enter it, and those who formerly received the good news failed to enter it because of disobedience, again he appoints a certain day, today, saying through David so long afterwards in the words already quoted, today if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. For if Joshua had given them rest, God would not have spoken of another day later on. So then, there remains a Sabbath rest for the people of God. For whoever has entered God's rest has also rested from his works, as God did from his. Let us, therefore, strive to enter that rest, so that no one may fall by the same sort of disobedience. Fantastic. All right. So when is God's rest? Let's talk about that, the timing of it. There's this before part. His works were finished from the foundation of the world, and they have been inaugurated, and they're sort of waiting consummation in Christ. And then there's this rest that's now. Let us strive to enter that rest. It's available. It was available before, and the people of God failed. It's available now, and let us strive to enter that rest. Don't fall now by the same disobedience. So there is stuff to do to strive and obey and listen and fear and know, and the result of all that is rest. That's why I kind of made the title about rest is exhausting, because of the things that is required of us now. And then there's this future aspect, that rest is coming, the future end time, consummation at the conclusion of the world. There's some rest that's going to happen there. So how do we get it? Well, it's still possible. That's the good news. It's still available by those who reverently fear the Lord, and so we don't fail. It's available to those who listen, so it benefits us. It's available to those who trust and believe and enter into that rest. It's available for those who rest from their works and rest in the works of God, imitating God in that way. It's available to those who work at resting, strive in it, so that we don't fall like previous generations. It's available to those who have this knowledge. There's a part of this that's knowing and hoping and trusting that there does remain a Sabbath rest for the people of God, and that rest is possible. It's offered, it's achievable, and it's even promised to the people of God. It unites us in faith with those who listen in the past. It unites us in faith with those who listen now, and it unites us in faith with those in a world to come. In overall, this is a God-imitating activity because he did it first. All right, so what is God's rest? Let me say that again. God's rest is this dependent posture of the soul being held in the achievements of an accomplished God. This rest is achieved on our part by the striving to listen, know, obey, believe, and have faith in the accomplishments of God. Along with the characters of history, that is Israel, the characters of today, the church, and the characters of the future kingdom in heaven. So rest, in conclusion, rest runs from complacency. It runs from unbelief. It runs from pride. It makes no room for it. It makes no room for presumption. It runs from the old way of looking at rest. It runs from works. It runs from disobedience. And it runs from independence. And it runs from ignorance of history. What it does run to is it runs to reverent fear. It runs to listen. It runs to working and hoping and knowing and trusting and imitating, in that way striving. It runs to an accomplished God who is accomplished, and we're going to find out later that he's going to finish and sit down. So here's the good news. God's rest is available and open for business. And it's achieved ultimately by stuff that's way above our pay grade. But we achieve it, and our entering God's rest is accomplished by striving, that's the word they use, striving towards a God who has accomplished it for us. Let's strive and rest in him. Let's rest in the accomplishments of God. Thanks for listening.